all right now. So yeah, very warm welcome, everybody. Welcome to Buddhafield, Buddhafield on the Web, an online celebration. It's so amazing to be here, to be part of this incredible offering. So yeah, welcome all of you. This is a gentle vinyasa practice. It's designed for all levels, so I'll be offering some adjustments, and it's a really nourishing, I hope, and heart-opening practice. So yeah, welcome. Hopefully you'll have a good stretch and just really get into the body today. Nice and relaxing, but also hopefully quite uplifting as well. So go ahead and grab some props. If you don't already have them, you're going to need either a yoga bolster or some cushions, pillows, absolutely fine. A blanket will be probably helpful today. Any yoga blocks that you like, hi, welcome. Welcome, you guys have just joined us. And yeah, any props that you usually work with, it's all good.
Yoga blocks off.
So I'm just going to pop you on mute, the guys who are joining me on Zoom. You can unmute yourself at the end if you want to, just to let you know that. And just for your, just to be aware that I am recording this. Only what's happening on my screen is being recorded, but just in case you're wondering, so let me reassure you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start in a reclined butterfly posture. So reclined Garadasana. So come onto your mat and lie down on your back. And at this point, this is really up to you, but we're going to start bringing the soles of the feet together. And then just gently lie down. Now here, you might like to, if you have a block, place a block underneath your shoulder blades. Sometimes that can feel really nice to just start opening through the front of the chest. You can do the same thing with some cushions or a pillow. Just placing that cushion right underneath the back of the rib cage, so you're nice and supported there, allowing the shoulders to open and just fall back towards your mat, and lifting the heart and the chest. If that's uncomfortable, you can just lose the prop. You don't need it. It's always optional. And then just allow the legs to be comfortable. So take your time to adjust the feet as you need to. So maybe you bring them a little bit closer to your hips if you need a bit of an extra stretch, if that feels okay to you, or maybe you just allow the feet to be a bit further away from the body. And this is where we're going to arrive. So close your eyes here and start to draw your attention in towards your breath. Maybe placing one of your hands on your belly. Maybe placing the hands on the lower rib cage. And start to notice how you're breathing. So, a very warm welcome, everybody. My name's Polly. I'll be leading you through this next hour or so of gentle practice. Starting to settle into the body and just notice the sensations in the body right now, in this moment, and the next. Just noticing how the body expands against the hands as you breathe. And continuously drawing that friendly attention back to yourself. So yogis, this will be a very gentle practice. I'll be offering some different options for postures. And it's really important that we approach this practice and our bodies with friendliness. So we talk a lot about self-compassion in our practice. And I'd just like to invite you at this point to just gently feel into what that means for you right now. Just gently asking, is there something that needs a bit of love right now? Something that needs a bit of attention? Is there something calling to us? Maybe there's something that we've been avoiding. And I invite you to just set a very loving and gentle intention for yourself, your sankalpa. How can you turn towards yourself with compassion, with love? What does that mean to you? Right now, in this body, in this moment. Always coming back to the breath. Using the breath as a way to find your way home into the body. Feeling into those spaces in between. Allowing those spaces between thoughts to maybe open up a little. And noticing that when your mind starts to leave the body, as it does, as it will, is it just doing its job? Just gently inviting it back home. Breathing deeply. So you might notice that the feet at this point are wanting to slide away from the body a little bit. That's okay. Always make adjustments as you need to, or maybe just let them go. Maybe you notice that the legs are feeling a little bit more open here. They start to release, feeling that openness through the hips. Always coming back to the breath. Coming back to yourself. And before we start to move, just a gentle reminder that if you are working with injury or any conditions in the body, if any difficulties arise, it's really important to be kind. So we practice kindness by noticing any place where we might be in pain or something doesn't feel right. The body is a really good teacher and will tell us. Just noticing if you feel like you may have gone into a stretch a little too far, or if it feels sharp. Being particularly careful if you're, like me, working with a joint injury or a sore muscle. And also being very safe in your space. So safe in your body, in your practice, in your space. Taking a break when you need to, relaxing when you need to, sipping water when you need to. How can you practice that self-compassion? As you move your body. Okay, yogis. So bring your hands to the outside of your thighs and just gently draw the knees in together. And remove any props that you might have had underneath your body. And just give the knees a gentle hug into your belly, your chest. Maybe moving slightly from side to side, just if that feels good on the lower back, if that feels okay. And then maybe lifting the forehead up to the knees, giving the body a really big squeeze. And then we're going to come up to our hands and knees. Now it's up to you. You can just gently turn onto your right side if you want to, or you can take a couple of sort of rock and roll movements, which can feel quite nice on the spine. And then arriving up in seating. And then we're going to just find ourselves in this neutral tabletop position. So giving the hips a little bit of a wiggle. Plenty of breath here. Just releasing any tension that might be there in the hips. And then placing the hands firmly down on the mat, really paying attention to the connection between the palms of the hands and the mat, spreading the fingers really wide and spreading the whole hand. So you're pressing down with your whole hand, not just rolling the weight into the wrists. So feel the muscles of the hands engage. And then engage your core. So draw the belly button in towards the spine. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, push the floor away from you and arch your spine as you tilt your tailbone forward towards your nose, bringing your chin to your chest. Inhaling, we take the counter movement. So drawing the heart forward, opening the chest, drawing the shoulders back, tilting the tailbone up towards the ceiling or the sky. Exhaling, so this is our cat-cow transition. You'll notice that the exhale connects to the feeling of opening up the back body and squeezing the front of the body. And the inhale naturally connects to this feeling of opening up the front of the body, expanding the chest, softening the belly, exhaling. So we're going to do a few more of these.
You can keep your eyes closed here if you prefer. It can help you just to keep that attention inwards. And yogis, move in time with your own breath, moving at your own pace always. You don't have to do the same thing as me. You might notice that the body wants to move in a different way than it did yesterday if you practiced yesterday. Always remembering that we feel different every single day, every time we arrive on our mat. Yeah, there are subtle differences. It's a whole load of weather systems happening that influence how we're feeling, how we arrive. Just noticing how the spine starts to mobilize here. This is often where we start to notice if we have any kinks, any edges, any tightness, maybe through the shoulders or the back of the neck, maybe in the lower back. Just noticing what's there and always using plenty of breath. So let's take one more cycle of breath here. And exhale. Come back to neutral. And then just come up onto the fingertips of the hands. Really pressing down with the fingers and noticing the strength in the fingers, noticing how when the muscles in the hands contract, it connects to the muscles and tendons in the arms, maybe into the upper arms, maybe even the shoulders. And then bring the hands down flat. I'm going to turn the hands around, maybe pressing very gently into the back of the wrist. So just giving the wrists a bit of love here, warming up the hands, the wrists. Maybe turning the hands out to the side. And turning them back towards the knees, stretching the inside of the arms. That can feel quite nice. If you know that you overextend, which means that the joint tends to press backwards a little bit like mine kind of does here, then just be very gentle about applying pressure into the joints. And then finally making a fist, coming up onto the knuckles. Just seeing how that feels. And then bringing the hands down flat. And then notice the difference, notice how the hands feel. Just doing those simple, really simple, like hand yoga for our hands. Maybe pressing back into the joints of the hands a little bit. Good. And we're going to come back to our this cat-cow variation. We're going to move it to the side this time. So start in a neutral spine, draw the belly in. As you inhale, you're going to turn and look towards your right hip, and you're going to kind of, as if you had a tail that you were like wagging to the right, looking over to your right hip, and you will feel a really nice opening through the left side body. As you breathe in deeply, the left side body will open, but the right side will feel really compressed. So just notice that the breath sometimes will feel still quite small. And then as you exhale, come back to center. Inhale over to the left. So really looking over your left shoulder to your left hip, feeling that lovely stretch through the right side body, breathing deeply into the right side ribs. And then exhale, come back to center. Take a few more of those. Sort of swaying movement with the hips. If, like me, at this point, you start to notice some pops, some interesting noises, some bonky noises happening through the hips, don't worry, nothing to worry about, as long as it doesn't hurt. And then finally, bringing some circular movement here. So you might want to open the knees a little bit wider to give yourself some more space. And then this is really your practice, yogis. This is your chance to just really own this movement. Just really make it your own, following your intuition. And allowing the hips to really lead the movement here. So imagine that the movement is being led by the sacrum, that root chakra space right at the base of the body. And just let that be the guide for the movement here. Maybe it's big circles, maybe it's figures of 8. You might want to close your eyes. And plenty of breath here, so do not forget to breathe. Always breathing deeply into that space. You can bring the hips forward, maybe drawing the hips towards the back of the wrists, maybe drawing them back towards your heels. Always using the breath. Well done. Take one more cycle of breath here. And then we just find some stillness. Bring the knees in a little narrower if you widen them. Then we're going to take our first downward facing dog. Now guys, if you're not feeling downward facing dog today for whatever reason, then as an alternative to downward dog, you just simply stay in all fours. And we're going to work through some vinyasas, and again, if you simply prefer to skip a vinyasa or you just want to skip them out altogether, then we're going to take a cat-cow instead, which is just as good in terms of mobilizing the spine and using the breath. All right. So guys who are joining me in downward facing dog, I'm going to bring the hands slightly forward, tuck the toes, deep breath in, and lift the hips up towards the ceiling or the sky if you're lucky enough to be outside today. And then finding a bit of softness to begin with, just noticing how we feel, just come into an inversion, so there will be a different feeling in the body, something's changed. And then maybe pressing one heel down and then the other, giving the back of the legs a bit of a stretch, maybe giving the soles of the feet also a bit of a stretch. And then if you want to, you could maybe twist from side to side a little bit if that feels good, just kind of pivoting on the balls of the feet. Always keeping the core engaged so you're protecting your lower back. And then we're going to find some stillness. So press down firmly with your hands, remembering to engage all the strength in the fingers and the whole of the hand. Squeeze the muscles of the arms around the bones, open up with the front of the shoulders. Draw the shoulders away from the ears, draw your belly in, and see if you can bring your chest a little bit further to your knees. Now take a deep breath in and see if you can lift the hips a little bit more so you're lengthening through the spine. So remember, this isn't about straightening the legs or getting the heels to the floor. This is about finding length through the spine and building a little bit of upper strength through the upper body. Take a deep breath in, rise high up onto your toes, ripple forwards, and find your plank position. Just pause it here for a very brief moment, and then lower the knees down, untuck the toes. We're going to lower the chest down between the hands, so bend the elbows, keep the shoulders away from the ears, core strong, chest lands first, then the hips, then inhale as you lift into baby cobra. So baby Bhujangasana, you're just using your lower back strength to lift the chest and the shoulders. So no arm strength here, heart is forward, legs along behind you, point your toes. Lovely. And then leveling down, pushing back, hips to heels, lifting back up into downward facing dog. We're going to take one more of those. Inhale, rise high up onto the toes, ripple forwards to plank. Lower the knees, untuck the toes, and then exhale, lowering the chest down, hips. Inhale to lift, and then exhale, pushing hips back to heels, and up into your downward facing dog. Inhale your right leg up. So stretching, extending the right leg behind you, and just feeling the strength in the body here. And then I'm going to draw that right leg forwards and all the way through. It might not go there in one move. You can just feel free to use as many moves as you like for it to get there. And then softly lower the back knee down, untuck the toes. I've got somebody in my waiting room. Guys, I'm just going to let them in. Okay, welcome. So you're landing in this low crescent lunge, the right foot forward and left foot back. Now untuck the toes of the left foot and just give yourself a moment to arrive Noticing that there is strong sensation in the body, maybe in the front of the left hip here. I'm going to take a deep breath in. We're going to take that similar cat-cow movement. So as you inhale, you're going to lift the heart up. You can keep the fingertips on the floor if you want to, if that feels better. Heart draws forward. On the exhale, you're going to draw the sit bones back, round through the spine, and flex the right foot up. So you're straightening the right leg, squeeze the right thigh. So you're really engaging that thigh muscle, which will allow the hamstring to stretch. And you'll notice that as you draw the sit bones back, that will really stretch through the back of the leg. Let's take a few more of those. So inhale, come forwards. Lift the heart, open up the front of the chest. Exhale, rounding the spine, draw the sit bones back, flex the right foot. Inhale, coming forwards. Opening the heart, drawing the shoulders back. And then exhale, moving backwards. So creating this really nice rocking motion, this flow. Inhale, walking the hands, fingertips forwards. You might find that you start to want to open the heart, open the chest a little bit more as you come forward. Good, and then this next one, I've no idea how many we've done, guys, because I'm terrible at counting. Counting while talking, not my strong point, but I think that was about 5 or 6-ish. And then come up and just arrive here in this crescent lunge, placing the hands on the top of the thigh. Now, if this feels really strong, if it feels like it's too much from the front of the left hip, you can walk the left knee forwards a little bit. If you feel you need more of a stretch, you can bring it back. And then I want you to really focus on your left glute. So that big muscle in your bottom on the left side, really focus all of your energy, your intention on engaging, contracting that muscle. And at the same time, see if you can point your tailbone down towards the floor. So rather than sticking it out behind you, you're trying to point it down. Drawing the lower belly in, drawing the lower ribs in. Deep breaths. Hands to heart center. Lifting the arms up towards the ceiling. Deep breath in. And then maybe if it feels okay, if you've got your stability, you can take a gentle back bend here. Now as you do that, you'll notice the muscles in the lower back start to contract. So there's a lined muscle by the side of the spine. Notice those muscles working, and that will allow the front of the body to open. Good. One more breath here. And then bring the hands down. And either step back into your all fours or straight back into downward facing dog. So either take a cat-cow here, guys, or take your vinyasa. So welcome folks who've just joined recently. I'm going to meet back either in downward facing dog or in your all fours position. Take a deep breath in and inhale the left leg up behind you. Now this really isn't about how high the leg goes. Just notice your balance here, notice the strength, notice the weight in the body shift. Really press down through both hands, draw the belly in, rise high up onto the right toes and draw the knee forwards and all the way through. Lower the right knee down. Deep breath in and lift the heart. And again, you can keep the fingertips on the floor if that feels better. Exhale, draw the sit bones back, flex the left foot. Keep your core engaged, keep your left thigh engaged when you stretch and lengthen that leg. Inhale, walking the fingertips forward. So just like we did with our cat-cow, we're connecting the breath to the shape of the spine, to the shape of the movement. You can make this a little bit bigger if you want to, by really folding into the leg, only if that feels good. Drawing the sit bones back. Just feeling that bittersweet stretch through the hamstrings, and of course, if there's any pain, backing right away from that. Inhale to lift the heart. Exhale to draw the sit bones back. And then inhale to bring the heart forward. Good. And then pausing here. And again, just bringing the hands to the top of the thigh for now. I'm really focusing on contracting that right glute. So it's wonderful strength to be found. I'm all about the glutes at the moment. And what you'll find is that the stronger, the more strength that we can cultivate in the glute, the more openness we can cultivate in the opposite space of the hip flexor, which for most of us becomes really tight, especially if you spend a lot of time at a desk or sitting down or driving. The way to access that is through strength in the butt. Hands to heart center if you want, or if you would like that extra uplift, and lift the fingertips up. Deep inhale, raise the heart. Opening up the chest. Think about lifting the sternum and the heart space up as tall as you can. Feeling the back contract. And then bring the hands down, well done. Take a step back, either onto all fours or to downward facing dog. Take a vinyasa here. Of course, always optional. Inhaling to come forwards to plank. Exhaling to lower down, chest first, then pelvis. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, pushing back and up through downward dog. You're doing so well, my yogis. Deep breath in and let it go. Inhale the right leg up high. Draw it forward. And this time you're going to land the right knee behind the right wrist. So we're landing in pigeon. So the right ankle is roughly behind the left wrist here. Now, depending on various things, anatomy, flexibility, you might be able to get your ankle a little bit further forward. It's really not essential. Doesn't really matter. It will give you a stronger stretch. What's more important is that you're not kind of leaning over to one side. So if you find that your right hip is kind of disappearing away from you down towards the floor, you might want to place something underneath your hip, particularly if you have any knee stuff going on. So if, like me, you have any knee injuries or issues that you're working with, it might just be too much for the floor to be applying that pressure. So prop yourself up with a cushion or a block if you have one. And what we're trying to do here is to find some evenness through the hips, so stability through the hips. Make sure your leg is straight behind you, the foot isn't sickling, i.e. it's not rolling off to one side. If it is, just tuck the toes. And then pause for a moment here, come way up onto the fingertips and open up through your heart space. So this is requiring some effort here. You'll notice that the back muscles are working and you're pressing the floor away from you with your fingertips. If you have a couple of blocks, that can feel pretty nice, just to place the blocks down and use those to balance on. If not, just to the best of your ability, just drawing the heart open and the shoulders back. And just notice that sensation, that action of drawing the shoulders back and opening up through the front of the chest, how that connects with what's happening through the back body. So the strength that you can feel in the back body, softness, front body. Beautiful. And then come down to the hands. Come all the way down as far as feels good. And we're going to hold this posture. Just a quick time check. We're going to hold this posture for another 90 seconds. I'm going to put a timer on. And this is through this extra, giving ourselves this extra time, really allows the body to open. So you'll probably be noticing the strong sensation through the glute, maybe the side of the thigh, the outside of the hip. I'm just inviting you, yogis, to just really go with it. Just turn towards it. And notice by using the breath, we can just notice and just lightly even hold what's there without resisting, without turning away. Just by using the breath and simply being present in the body. Most incredible yogi superpowers can just change the whole world. Take a deep breath in, let it go. Well done. Gently come up onto the hands. And then just taking your time, maybe stepping straight back into downward facing dog, or maybe just taking a pause for a moment in all fours and just noticing the difference in one hip to the other. And then we meet back in downward dog, or staying in all fours if you want to take your cat-cow variation. So rising up into downward dog, taking a vinyasa here, inhaling, roll up onto the toes and ripple forwards to plank. Lower the knees down softly as you exhale, chest then pelvis to the floor, and then inhale to lift. Exhale, hips back to heels, downward dog. Inhale your left leg up high. Exhale, draw it forwards. Gently land the left knee behind the left wrist, and the left ankle behind the right wrist. And again, just taking some moments here to adjust as you need to. Can't reach my props now. And just noticing, you're probably different on one side, maybe a bit more space on one side, we usually are. And then once you've found your stability in pigeon, rise up onto your fingertips. Now, it might be here, you might be here, it really doesn't matter. What we're going for is a feeling, is a sensation. So going for a sensation of openness through the chest and shoulders, and a sensation of strength and contraction through the back of the body. Continuing to draw the shoulders back and away from you, your heart forward. Breathing. Just noticing where you are in your body. And then coming down onto the forearms. And then finding your way into the depth. Now, if it's too much on your forearms, or you want to bring your forehead right down, but it just feels like a bit too much on the neck, you can always place a block or a cushion underneath the head. Just doing what you need to do to find yourself comfortable. Maybe you come down all the way to the floor, folding over the front leg. And then we're going to hold this. Breathing. Breathing into that tightness. Breathing into the sensation. Finding stillness. Finding peace, even though there might be discomfort. Okay, guys, take a deep breath in. Open the mouth, let it go. Well done. Come up onto the hands and just gently make your way up into downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the hips up. And then we'll take an optional vinyasa movement, inhaling, rising high up onto the toes, ripple forwards to plank. From plank, lowering the knees, untuck the toes, chest lands between hands, then the pelvis lands, and then inhaling to lift the chest using upper body strength, and then softening down. Guys, just stay here for a moment, just pausing here on your belly. Place one hand on top of the other and just make a pillow for your forehead. Breathing deeply. Noticing the sides of the body expand as you breathe. Noticing the back of the body expand. Noticing the sensation through the hips, the thighs. On the next deep breath in, walk yourself up onto your forearms. So we're making, finding a Sphinx pose here. So the hands can be a little bit wider than the elbows, just a touch, if that feels all right. And the elbows should be underneath the shoulders. I'm going to make sure that your shoulders run back. So you're not collapsing here. You're using your back strength to lift the chest, to keep the body lifted and strong. So it looks like a very, it kind of looks like an easy posture. And it is lovely and simple, but there is effort taking place here. There's quite a lot of action happening through the back of the body. Breathing into the heart space. And then just really focusing on drawing the elbows just back. So there's no actual action here, but it's a very subtle movement, which hopefully, when you do so, you'll notice that the spine lengthens a little. So you're drawing the upper body away from the hips. It's a really gentle movement. It's really more of an intention, I guess. So really visualizing the elbows sliding back, and that will draw the chest forwards. You might sense a little bit of a release in the lower back. Good. All right, just relax for a moment. And then keep the hands where they are. Lift the hips up. I'm going to come into melting heart pose. So I love this posture. Just gorgeous. So sometimes this is called puppy dog pose, but I like to stick with the melting heart. Really reaching the fingertips forward, hands are flat on the floor, forehead comes down, hips are above the knees here. So this isn't, it's a little bit like child's pose, but it's not saying your hips are above the knees, sorry. And you're reaching strongly with the arms. So hopefully you'll feel a nice stretch underneath the arms, maybe also through the backs of the shoulders. And just breathing into the space around the chest. Maybe if you have the flexibility, you can bring your chin forwards. That feels like it might be a little too strong for me. If you have tightness in your shoulders, that will feel like quite a lot. You just give it a try. Just see how that changes the sensation in the body. For me, that feels very strong. Otherwise, just rest with the heart, the forehead on the floor. Beautiful. All right, come up onto hands and knees. Take a couple of cat-cow movements, just release any any strong muscle contraction there. Good. So bring the hips back to the knees, heels, confusing my body parts today. I'm going to take a Camel of Strass. So this is my favorite heart opener back bend posture. And I really invite you to take your time with this. So what I find with this posture is that the more I take my time and I accept where my body is, the more I tend to get from this posture. So come up onto your knees. So you're standing on your knees, and the knees are about roughly 8 inches apart, just maybe a tiny bit wider than your hips and the joints of your hips, right? And then first thing we're going to do is place the hands on the back of the hips. And then take a deep breath in and lift the heart. I just want you to notice how that action of lifting the heart up already starts to open the front of the body and engage the back body. So drawing the shoulders back, squeezing the elbows together. And then you're going to tilt your pelvic bowl forwards. So you're sticking your bottom, almost sticking the bottom out behind you, which isn't something we do very often in yoga, but just trust me. You'll notice when you do that, the muscles in the lower back are really contracting and strong. They're really switched on. And then we're already in this back bend, in this heart opening position. Simply, we're going to take another deep breath and bend the upper body back and bring the hips forward, keeping the pelvic bowl in that same position. You'll notice strength in the back, surrender in the front of the body. Keep the hands on the hips for the moment and just allow yourself to go backwards, to really surrender. Now it's up to you. If you feel deep, you can bring your hands down to the backs of your thighs here, and then really inhale deeply and lift the chest up once more. So you're still drawing the heart up and the hips are still forward. Your hips should be beyond your knees here. And then bring the hands back to the hips and then gently come back up. Straighten the spine, so lengthen the spine first. And then allow the hips to come back to the heels. Don't lean forward, try to resist that temptation. Just bring the hips back to the heels. So I've got an injury, my hips don't go all the way back to my heels, but if yours don't either, feel free to use a prop. And just allow that posture to settle. And allow everything that's going on to go on, everything you're feeling. Breathe deeply. We're going to take another set of camel. So stand up on your knees. If you would like to try a little bit more depth here, you can open the knees a bit wider. Otherwise, keep them where they are, and the feet always stay in the same place. So again, step by step, we set up well. We're going to place the hands on the back of the hips. Squeeze the elbows together to draw the shoulder blades back and open up through the chest and the heart. Inhale to lift the heart, then tilt the pelvic bowl forwards. And then finally, inhale to lift and lean the upper body back. Hips forward, heart lifted, looking and leaning back. Now, if you can see almost the bottom of the wall behind you, you can try to bring one hand, your right heel to your right hand to your right heel, your left hand to your left heel. Now, if doing so changes the shape of your posture, so if bringing the hands to the heels means that the hips are going back and you're leaning on your feet, just swerve it. You want to keep the hips drawing forward and the heart lifted up. And just let all of that roll over and through you. The breath is small. Keep lifting the heart, continuously drawing the hips forward, just go with it. I'm going to encourage you to stay here a little bit longer than you want to. And really stay with this. Allowing the spine to open, allowing the heart to open. Accessing that deep tension through the front of the body. Keep lifting the heart up, keep drawing the hips forward. I'm going to hold for 3 more breaths here. You've got this. And then gently bring your hands to your hips first. Ooh. Lift the heart, lengthen the spine. Take your time. And then allow the hips to sink back to the heels. Deep breath and let it go. Maybe close the eyes. Notice the heart. Notice the breath. Notice yourself. Nice work, all right. So remove the prop if you're using one. Come onto your sit bones. And extend the legs out in front of you. And just taking a moment in Garadasana and Staff Pose. Just to allow the spine to be neutral and tall. Lengthening the legs forward. Maybe placing the hands on the floor or maybe on the tops of your thighs, doesn't matter, but just make sure you're nice and long through the spine. Deep inhale and lift the heart up once more. And then start to walk the hands forward. Now if the legs bend here, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how deeply you fold either, but what I would just ask you to do is just make sure that you're taking your time, paying attention to what's happening in the lower back, paying attention to all the sensations in the spine. So going from a very strong back bend into a forward fold here. Really feeling into those sensations. And allow the hands to land where they land, maybe on the shins, maybe on the floor, maybe the sides of the feet. To keep lengthening the spine. So see if you can create space through the spine instead of rounding down. Just to begin with, drawing the shoulders back. And now, contract the core. So really squeezing the muscles in the abdomen. So all the abdominal muscles tighten. And then bring your chin down to your chest. And then round down. So bring the forehead towards the knees. Slightly different version. Paschimottanasana. Allowing the back body to fully open. Take your time. Good, and then walk the hands back slowly. And sit up, find neutral spine in Garadasana, Staff Pose. Shoulders down and back, heart raised. And I'm going to come all the way down to the floor. So bend the knees, bring the feet back to the floor. And then find your way into semi-supine. So with the spine flat and the knees lifted, the feet flat on the floor, and just take a moment to arrive here. Deep breath in, let it go. So on the program, guys, I think you said 90 minutes. It won't be a 90-minute practice today. It'll be a little over an hour, maybe 70 minutes. I'm going to start to wind down now, but maybe I could ask you to use the full 90 minutes for yourself. So maybe after this class, you can have a little rest or an extra long savasana, or maybe go outside, give those few moments to yourself, or just really use them to nourish yourself. But it's up to you. Maybe you can come back to that sankalpa, that intention we set. And really ask yourself, what is it my body is needing? What am I needing in this moment? How can I offer myself that? Breathing deeply. We're going to take another backward bend here. I'm going to take a bridge posture. So if you're not feeling bridge, or you just fancy doing something a bit more restorative, then take a supported bridge. So making sure that, well, we're set up in the same way with the feet hips with distance apart. And about a foot's width away from your hips. Now some people say the fingertips need to be touching the heels, but that really just depends on the length of your arms, right? So I tend to not use that one, but just find a position that's comfortable for your feet. And then lift the hips up, place a block underneath the hips. So this is the restorative version of bridge. And this can feel really nice. This can be something that, that you just take as a nice restorative alternative to a savasana at any time, at any point. Just feels really nice to have the hips lifted. If you don't have a block, a cushion will do. So option to either stay in your supported bridge, or you can take a full bridge. Now if you're taking a full bridge, so we're going to set up in a particular way. So to bring your elbows down to the floor, and then walk your elbows towards your hips. So the back of your shoulder blades are drawing down towards your hips. So when you do that, you're already opening the front of the chest. So already you're creating this back bend. So the middle and the lower back are hollow away from the mat. The chest is open, the shoulders are down and back. So you're already creating this space, this shape, ready to take on this back bend. And then take a deep breath, squeeze your glutes, so there's big muscles, and lift the hips up. And you're using your hamstrings here, you're using your glutes, and the hips are lifted off the floor. You'll notice that maybe setting up in that way just gives you a bit more space. You can walk the shoulders back even more if you want to. You're going to make sure that your knees are not extending beyond your feet. So the knees should always be above the heels. Maybe you clasp the hands underneath the hips if that feels okay. And then lift the hips up continuously. So that's the action. Engaging the glutes, engaging the hamstrings, lifting the hips. Make sure that there is space between your chin and your chest. The chest is rising up towards the chin, but there is still some space there. Space behind your neck, and plenty of space underneath the back. Taking a deep breath here, lift a little bit more, and then softly lower down. And then just wiggle and adjust as you need to let the spine be flat on the floor. And then just breathing, relaxing there. I always think that certainly in yoga, there are a few things that feel quite as nice as landing after bridge posture. So just take your time, allow the posture to leave the body. Breathe. So we're going to take another set of bridge. We won't spend quite as long this time. If wheel is in your practice, and you would like to take a wheel instead, please go ahead. I'm going to take another bridge. I'm not going to talk through wheel today. If you've never tried wheel before, now's probably not the time. There'll be plenty of time to try it, and bridge is just as wonderful. So we'll do that same setup. So bending the elbows, we'll make our robot shape arms, walking the elbows back. So opening the chest and the front of the body. Squeeze the glutes, deep breath in, lift those hips up. And then walking the shoulders back a little bit more if you want to. Now you can take any variations here if you like to do any fancy stuff, like maybe you could heel toe the feet a little bit closer in towards one another. And then maybe you could lift one leg up to see how that feels. Maybe extend it. Always keeping the hips lifted. That's the challenge here, is to keep those hips lifted and elevated as much as possible. Have a little play around, just see how that feels. Obviously, if you're tipping a lot to one side or the other, then just maybe take a step back a little bit. Come up onto your toes. Lower the heels. Give the hips a lift, squeezing the glutes one more time. Feel those hamstrings working. And then slowly peel back down. And allow the spine to fully engage with the floor and relax. So we're going to take our final couple of postures. Lift your right leg up and then wrap it round the left leg. So we're going to come into a version of Garadasana of Eagle, which is simply on the floor. It's just so much easier. You have to balance on one leg. So hopefully you can just cross your right leg over your left. Maybe you can cross in two places. So you're hooking your right foot underneath your left calf. And then it's up to you if you want to keep your feet on the floor or if you want to lift them. I prefer to lift them, it gives me a bit more space in my back. And then with the arms, reach the fingertips out wide to the side and then wrap the right arm underneath the left. Deep breath in. If you want to, you could bring your legs over to the right and your upper body over to the left. So you're coming into a bit of a twist. It feels quite awkward, so just embrace that. And then back to center. Let the legs come down. And then take the same on the left side. So lifting the left leg up and wrapping it around the right leg. Maybe just strapping in one place, or maybe you can bring the foot and hook it underneath the side of the calf. And just take your time here, just explore how that feels. And then reaching out with the fingertips, left arm underneath right, crossing the arms at the elbows and wrists. And then here, maybe bringing the knees over to the, to the left side, that's it, and the upper body over to the right. And then back to center. Arms down, press the feet down to the floor. I'm going to take a twist. So this will be our final posture before Savasana. So just really take your time here. Draw your belly in. Extend the arms up to the side if you have space, or catch them. And then bring your legs over to the left. So really allowing the body to fully relax here. Breathing into the space in the right side. keeping your right shoulder blade connected with the mat. Releasing a little more. And then come back to center. Place the feet down firmly, maybe lift the hips a little just to re-center the spine. And then draw your knees over to the right side. Feel free to take any positioning with the feet that you like to, it feels good. Hopefully you're feeling a nice stretch through the left side body. Noticing that one side of the body is in a slight compression, as the other side is in sort of this expansion, giving the spine a nice compression, decompression, but also the skin, the internal organs, the lungs. Good, and come back to center. Give your knees a hug into your chest. Give yourself a really big hug. Like me, you probably need one. I don't know about you, but I am really missing our Buddha field hugs. So give that to yourself right now. Offer yourself all of that love. Good. Make any final stretches that you like to, yogis. Maybe extending one leg away. Maybe taking a happy baby. Happy baby can feel quite nice at the end of practice. Bringing the arms inside the knees and then around to the outside edges of the feet. And then taking any movements that you like here. Just being playful. We don't take ourselves too seriously in happy baby. And then finally, a full body stretch. And then making yourself super comfortable for final savasana. So finding your cushions, your blankets, your extra layer. And just lying down on your back. If it's too much for the legs to be straight, they can be bent with the feet flat on the floor in semi-supine. Take some deep breaths, come back to yourself. So closing your eyes here. And bringing your attention to your heart space. And just noticing the sensation in that area of the body. And also the quality of the energy. So this energetic space. And ask yourself again, what's there? What's arising this moment? And again. And again. Just meeting what arises with softness. So these heart-opening postures, these backward bends can release a lot of emotion and vulnerability. And I invite you to acknowledge that and be with it. For some of us, those feelings can be really intense. So how can you be gentle with yourself? How can you practice self-compassion? Take a deep breath in. Open the mouth, let it go. Take another deep breath in. Open the mouth, let it go. And this next deep breath, breathe in love. And this exhale, I'm going to send it back out. Everywhere, everyone, all beings. Bring some gentle movement into the body. Maybe by gently tapping your fingertips to your thumbs, wiggling the fingers and the toes. Maybe circling the wrists, the ankles. And then gently roll onto your right side. Taking a brief pause on your right side, and then use your left hand to push yourself up. And find a seated position. Well done, everyone. Bring your hands to your heart center. Just close your eyes for a moment. And here, with the deepest of intention, give yourself thanks. And then in this final gesture, which acknowledges you, your body, each other, this space, wonderful Buddha field, the technology that enables us to meet and share like this. Say thank you and namaste. Deep gratitude, everybody. Feel free to unmute yourself if you would like to. Otherwise, you can type in the chat box or just leave a Facebook comment or whatever. Thanks, Shelley. Well done.
Thank you. That was really lovely. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Have a wonderful day. Hope you enjoyed the rest of this incredible program, right?
Yeah. Are you doing another session?
I'm not, sadly, no, I'm not able to this time, but there's so much, there's some incredible teachers on the schedule, so, yeah, we're so blessed.
See you next year then, right?
Oh, yeah, see you next year.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Polly. That was lovely.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, EJ.